Welcome to the Guy Pie Podcast, featuring Anthony, Chris, John, Sean, and Mark. This is a weekly podcast where five guys come together to make the ultimate conversational pie about the games they are currently playing.
All right, welcome to the Guy Pie Podcast. I'm Chris. Joining me today is Anthony.
Hey.
Sean. Yes, you can't keep doing this.
It's hard. I don't understand.
You're fired,
All
bud.
right, and John.
Oh, yeah, hey.
I thought you said John the first time, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought you said John.
I thought so too. I wasn't sure, so I didn't say anything.
So I'm like, we can't keep doing this. Like, come on. Like, one of you has to change your name. I think that's what has to be done. Like
That guy.
getting ridiculous. All right,
You could be Jonathan.
that's a lot more letters. Gets too complicated.
Ron.
Right. First up, we have Throne in Liberty. John and Anthony, you guys have been playing this. I'll throw it to you first, Anthony. What have you been thinking about this game?
Yeah, it's really addicting. It's free to play MMO. It just came out on consoles not too long ago, but it released prior to that. I think about 3 months prior. So it's still a fresh new MMO. So there's not like an insane amount of content at the end game, like you would find in something like Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft, but it's decent enough. The free to play aspect generally comes with some form of pay to win, and this definitely has those aspects. But it seems pretty reasonable in the free to play approach, because in most MMOs, like you're generally to get to max and then like start progressing into end game. Most MMOs you're looking at a couple months, 2 months, maybe 3, to really maximize the time in the end game. And this seems like it'd be around the same. Like I'm about a month in, I think now, maybe a month and a half, something like that. And it's I'm getting up there. Um, and to be fair, I did buy one of like they had like these bundles. Like one was like 30, 50, and 100, something like that. So I did buy one of those. But it didn't help me a little bit. But other than that, mostly free to play. And it's been good. Like the visuals, like it's probably arguably the best looking MMO out there currently because it's done in Unreal Engine 5, I believe. So like even I was just standing here fishing earlier and my cape is like a cloth cape. And it started raining and it literally like my cape looked like it was soaked. It like just the quality of it just looked, and that, we're talking PS5. I can only imagine how this looks if you're playing on like a high-end PC. Um, but yeah, it's been fun. The social aspect I think is what's been keeping me playing because like I said, the end game there isn't like a heavy amount of content currently. You only really have like 3, maybe 4 things to enjoy unless you're really into PvP. Then like because like almost half of the end game is PvP based because it's this whole game is centralized around guild versus guild content, like these sieges, um, taking the throne, and like then there's like this tax delivery event, all this stuff, which I don't do very much of that, so I'm only really doing the PVE stuff. So it kind of limits the content I can really enjoy. But me, John, and Mark, we joined this guild and just been doing stuff with them, doing stuff together, the 3 of us, or if I catch John on or Mark on. Um, and yeah, it's just the traditional system of C number has hooked me. You know, like getting armor improvements, like leveling up the armor, leveling up the skills, just seeing the numbers and the stats go up, like it's got me good. So I've been no life in the shit of this. Like I've been basically any moment I can play a game, I'm playing this game, and it's been like that for at least a month. It seems like.
Have you tried a calculator? Same kind of general appeal.
Well,
Like you can watch
see,
numbers go up.
I would, but I don't know. It seems too difficult.
Too pricey.
Yeah.
Maybe when it goes on sale.
I probably missed the sale. Although I was gonna get a PS5 on Boxing Day, and there was no sales on them. So what the fuck's that about? Not cool.
Yeah, but no GST right now.
True. That goes on for a little while, I think. So I'm considering, even with it not on sale, I might just do it. Because if I don't get a sale between now and like the first week of February, then I gotta buy a full price anyway.
Could you just buy a used one? You think he'll notice?
Oh yeah,
If
he'll flip out.
GameMD has them, maybe.
But
Anywhere else, I wouldn't trust it.
but what the
What?
fuck is this peasant shit? Give me a fucking used PS5. What the fuck, Dad?
Yeah, I still have the box. Oh no, it's different now. I was gonna say I still have my box. I could put it in there, but I have the OG one, so it wouldn't even fit, or it would fit because it's smaller. He wouldn't even know the difference.
He has no idea.
I'll think about it.
You give him a
I'll think about
PS5 and he's more entertained with the box it comes in.
Yeah. But yeah. So the game, as far as MMOs go, it's not the best out there. I don't know if it's something I could easily recommend to friends I have that play MMOs, unless they like really dig PvP. Because, like I said, a lot of this game is really PvP centric. I am looking forward to see what they do with it because I've never been into an MMO so close to its launch. I've always only ever stepped into one when there was just a shitload of content. Like so much that even if I played it for the year, like I have probably like 6 months in on Final Fantasy 14, and I've probably played like 10% of that. I mean, I've played through all the story that I had access to at the time, but like there's so much shit, man. So I don't know if I'll stick with it for a long term, but we'll see what happens. There's supposed to be some updates coming in January. See how that goes. And I think a big aspect too, like this guild I'm in and like playing with Mark and John, like if that were to crumble away, high probability I would end up dropping off because with like playing it on my own is just not it's not enough to keep me around long term, you know. So but yeah, good time.
Nice. What have your thoughts been on it, John?
I hate it. I think it's the worst, but I can't stop playing it. It's toxic.
Oh
It's
yeah.
especially tier 2 dungeons. I've only run I think like a third of, not even a third. I think I've run
Just
maybe
the one.
like
I think we just did the one. Yeah.
like
Dude, me and John,
0.1% of it.
sorry, me and Mark tried to do a new one earlier. We queued in. A guy said, "Do you guys know the boss mechanics?" And no one said anything, so he just left. And then another guy came in, and he was the tank, and he was like, we went into the first room of mobs, and then he just left. It's like basically the yeah, John was saying, like if you don't have maxed out like min max gear, they just we loaded into one. I loaded into one with Mark, and as soon as we loaded in, a pop up on my screen came up saying vote to kick, and it was vote to kick Mark because his character the guy who put it through determined that Mark's character didn't have a high enough HP number. Like his HP wasn't high enough, so he
He's
tried to vote to kick him.
a healer for context.
Yeah, it's brutal. That's why the guild aspect's been good because like we run all that shit with the guild and they don't give a fuck. But
Honestly, if it wasn't for the guild stuff, I probably wouldn't be playing this game because they honestly, and we lucked out too because this is a really like good guild. They actually like share the loot and
yeah,
do PvE focused stuff opposed to all the PvP focused stuff. And they're friendly enough. They're a little strange, but they're cool. Yeah, but I do like it. I lied about hating it. It's good for a free MMO, and there is like the battle pass pays for itself. Like pretty much any content that like cosmetics and stuff, it all pays for itself because you can sell items for the paid currency in the game, which is pretty cool. So like you could save it up for like even like a better weapon, like one of the best weapons in the game. It's unrealistic, but uh like because 500 costs what, 13.99, Tony? And then
yeah.
and then like one of the best crossbows I was looking at earlier was like 100,000 of that.
Yeah,
So
there's these two bosses that only spawn once a week. And not like they both spawn in a week. It's like one of them will spawn in a given week. And the weapon they drop, they'll drop like one of like 4 different weapons. And they go for a lot. So imagine that $13, $14 for 500. And these weapons range from like 80,000 to like 150,000. So you'd have to like times, do the math. Like you're looking at a weapon that's like tens of thousands of dollars basically.
and people buy this shit. People buy this shit.
Yeah. But the
So
cool thing, like you were saying though, is like I've easily made maybe 1,000 of that currency just selling stuff in game, and the pass is 500. So like, you could play for free and buy the pass super easily. Like I could make that amount, like 500. I could make that in like 3 days playing casually. You know?
yeah, not saying the pass is like I wouldn't even say the pass is worth actually paying money for. Like it's a good thing that they implemented this getting currency from like selling your gear and stuff. Because the pass isn't like crazy or anything. Like there's a
No.
couple like cosmetic things in it, but mainly the stuff in it is like things to level up your gear a little bit, and like it's not even enough to like level it up really if you think about it. Like higher levels cost more, and maybe you get like 4 of them. But yeah, overall good experience, fun game, surprising. At first I was a little bored, and then I got into it, and it got good. So
Sometimes it takes that for games like that. Like, you need to sink more time into it to kind of really get a feel for it and get into it. Sean, did you end up trying this at all?
No, I did not, and I don't think I will. I don't think I will. I just I'm not much of an MMO guy, to be honest. Like the thrill of it kind of falls off pretty fast. Like I was playing Final Fantasy 14 and I really enjoyed it. That was more so because it was super expensive as well. But it's just like, when you have such limited time to game in general, it's like, do you really want to pour all of that time into running around and like trying to slay mobs to get something to drop? Or I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me. If I had more time, for sure, because I'm very easily addicted, and I know like the leveling and collecting loot would be addicting, but just don't got time, man. I don't even play video games. I don't even like video games. I'm all about books and math. That's it.
Are
Yeah,
you
math
Asian?
is pretty cool.
Am I what? What did you say?
I said, are you Asian?
Yeah, I'm aging pretty rapidly. Yeah,
Yeah, me too. But your metabolic age is pretty good.
that's all that matters. I'm dying, but my metabolic age is good.
Yeah, I had contemplated checking this game out, but then I was like, kind of what you said, Sean, with like lack of time. I after getting burnt out with COD and then wanting to not get burnt out with Marvel Rivals, I started like looking back and being like, there's still a bunch of games like I want to play that I haven't played. So like, do I want to try an MMORPG, which like chances are I won't get into, or do I want to kind of go back into like platinum hunting? So I kind of took that route, which led me back to like finishing Veilguard and all that. But yeah, I think if this dropped at a different time, like I think like maybe like in August, when we were kind of looking for things to play, I think I would have given it a solid shot. But I'm glad to hear that you guys have been vibing with it and like digging
I'm
in
not.
and all that. Sean like praises this game every day. Like he loves this game so much. He actually just spent God knows how much on that crossbow. That's
I actually made the game. I am
knew it.
Amazon.
Amazon.
But yeah, any final thoughts on Throne and Liberty?
Yeah, it's throw what?
Throat and Liberty.
Throat and
throat
Liberty.
and liberty.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's a game I could recommend to anybody, but yeah, I don't know. It's as far as aside from its visual aesthetic and like how great it looks, there's definitely much better MMOs out there if you're looking for an MMO to get into. So I wouldn't recommend it, but it's got me hooked. Can't stop.
Won't stop. Sorry.
Next up, we have Marvel Rivals. Sean, you've been playing this. What you think about it?
I like it. It's good. We all played I played the very first beta, and then we all played the second beta, and immediately, like, my immediate thoughts were like, yes, it is an Overwatch clone, which tends to be like, if you ever talk to somebody who hasn't played the game or doesn't want to play the game, they're like, isn't that just Overwatch? And it's like, have you played Overwatch lately? If the answer is yes, then you're probably self-loathing. But if the answer is no, it's because nobody is playing Overwatch. And it needs that kind of like fresh appeal, and that's where Marvel Rival kind of comes in, keeping with the old format that Overwatch had, the 6v6, and mixing it up with, franchise Marvel heroes. Not only that, like, launched with so many goddamn characters, so many different ways to play. The comic book nerd in me too just is like itching for new skins and new characters and new things. And it feels fresh. Like, I don't sometimes, like, back in the day when I was religiously playing Overwatch, I would get into, like, play a bunch of matches, and then I'd be like, I don't really want to play this anymore. Like, maybe for a little while. I haven't felt that with Marvel Rivals. And I don't think I will anytime soon. Like, it's fun to just kind of hop in and play. Every match feels different because there's so many different dynamics, and without a role queue as well, like, there's so many stupid team compositions that you could do. I think my favorite thing about it, though, is that it's not balanced. That wouldn't be the word I would use, because I don't feel like it's purposefully balanced. I feel like every character is broken, and that works in its favor, because if there was one character that just wasn't broken, then it would be like, this is unbalanced. I don't think they purposefully balanced it. I think instead of balancing it, they just went in and they're like, let's make everyone overpowered, so that way there's no balancing issues. Like, I've often gone into matches where it's like all duelists, all DPS, like just going in, doing damage and winning. Like, there doesn't need to be that kind of, I mean, if you're playing competitive, it's a little bit different, but if you're just doing like a quick match, like, you could go in with all healers and potentially still win. Like, it's kind of cool that you can kind of like mix and match like that. Plus, nobody wants to play Vanguard. Nobody wants to play healers. I will say that is kind of like the downfall of the game, is that there's not enough of those characters. That's why nobody wants to play them. Everyone's favorite characters are duelists. There's like not enough Vanguard, and there's not enough support. So they definitely need to boost that up. And it doesn't look like they're going to, because the season 1 leaks, there's like 3 duelists, 1 Vanguard, 1 support. Like, they need to like balance out the roster a little bit more. And I think that's pretty easy to do. Like, there's some characters, like, I think Wolverine could have very easily been a Vanguard, for example. Like, because he does have like the healing buff and stuff like that. He can't really do damage mitigation except for himself. But I don't think that's at the detriment. They could have figured something out for that. But yeah, there definitely needs to be more of those. Because I honestly, like, even when I want to play support, I'm like, yes, I like playing some of these characters, but, the comic book nerd in me isn't like, oh, I gotta play this guy. Because, like, immediately when I saw Wolverine was in the roster, I'm like, that's what I'm playing. I don't care if he sucks. Even I suck as him. That's what I'm playing. I don't give a shit about the meta. I don't give a shit about anything. I love Wolverine. I'm playing Wolverine. And that's what I've been doing, and I've been enjoying it, even though I suck. So it's a good game. 10 out of 10. Well, not 10 out of 10. I mean, it has problems, but maybe a solid 8 out of 10.
That's the thing. Solid 8 out of 10, but like with potential to grow and all that.
Yeah.
As like it develops over the years, for sure.
That's one of the most exciting things about it, is the potential. Like, imagine they did like an event where it's like a symbiote event, and you get a bunch of symbiote skins for different characters. Like, it's just, there's so many I mean, Marvel Comics has been going on for like how long? Like, there's so many things to pull from. There's the MCU, there's Marvel Comics, there's cartoons, there's things like that. Like, there's so many things that they could add, and I think like the idea of what they could potentially do, knowing that they have been adding like different skins from different comics and different movies and stuff like that, is super exciting for me.
Yeah, it reminds me of back when I played Marvel Heroes Omega. That concept of like getting excited every time, like who's gonna be the next character, what are the next group of skins gonna be, like just like you said, the potential is endless. Like even like Venom alone, like there's so many different paths they can still go for him that like they could do the Ultimate Comics with the purple skin. Like they I know already I'm absolutely fucked in terms of my wallet for this game because like I was talking, I think, to Chad and Anthony last night about this. It's like my full on realization was like, I'm only going to buy skins for one character, Venom, but like I'm essentially going to be buying every fucking skin that comes out for that character.
And he has the most skins thus far. So
Well, that recent bundle, I had to drop like the $30. Is rough.
ridiculous. Ridiculous.
But yeah, no, I'm having a great time with it. I kind of like doing like the small doses, like a Friday, Saturday night. Get like 3 or 4 hours in with some buddies, just running it. As like what you said, where everyone wants to play damage. I'm that rare example of like go to Vanguard strictly because of Venom, but I also like playing healing as like Luna Snow. But I wouldn't mind playing damage every now and then, but there's like rarely ever opportunities for it. But
I'll never switch.
Yeah.
Never. Not even if there's a fire.
Yeah, no, I think they crushed it with this game, and I think one of my favorite things before I throw it to John was their attention to detail. Um, it was something I noticed when we were playing that beta when we unlocked the Marvel vs. Capcom Venom skin, like the teal blue, is like for his tendril abilities and everything, all his abilities, they fully adapted it to match that color palette. And even like recently, like playing as that new outfit, the like the ice themed one, that's been all his tendril like abilities and stuff have been swapped to match that. Like they didn't have to do that. They could have easily just kept it like his traditional like the black tendrils, but like they went out of their way to just like make it just like seamless, and I really appreciated just that small attention to detail. But yeah, John, like what were your thoughts on Marvel Rivals?
I dig it. I think I'm on the same boat as you, where it's like Friday, Saturday night, get together, kind of play it. Um, Speaking of attention to details, the modding community has been all over it. On PC. Um, a disclaimer: I'm not gonna say what the mod is, but there's a specific Venom mod.
The 19 inches.
Yeah. Uh, Overall, like a lot of these mods are pretty clean, pretty cool. But yeah, that one is like um yeah, but it's a lot of fun. I prefer playing healer. I started liking Cloak and Dagger quite a bit. A lot of fun. Can dish out quite a bit of damage too. Like I I like to think of Cloak and Dagger as more of like the attack healer, whereas like the other ones like Jeff and Luna are all specifically mainly healing. Um But yeah, it's good, and it's one of those free games where you don't have to really sink a lot of time into. You know, you can just get the skins you want, and there is the pass, but like it's not really necessary. Like it's a cool game, fun to mainly to play with your friends. Like I wouldn't like team up with randoms because that's when things usually get like two vanguards and like the rest are all damaged, no healers. Like, yeah, it's a good game, fun.
Anthony, you haven't played since the beta, but like any thoughts on Rivals?
Yeah.
Good
Uh,
talk.
yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys are most likely be playing this here and there pretty long term. Not like no life in it, but I'm sure it'll continuously pop up. So I will probably jump in with you guys eventually. As you know, I've haven't joined you guys recently just because of my current addiction, but this addiction will drop off eventually. Like, there's no way I can see me playing Throne of Liberty up until Monster Hunter Wilds releases, because that's like 3 months away or whatever. So at that point, then I will most likely jump in with you guys here and there. But yeah, until then, or even I don't know, maybe sooner rather than later. We'll see. Because it's not like I dislike the game. I definitely enjoyed. Not something I could spend every weekend playing, like, but throwing in a Saturday here and there. It's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Nice. Any final thoughts on Rivals before we move on?
Put it in your mouth. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw up. For the audio listeners, I just threw up all over myself.
Thank God.
That you'll only be able to see that on our OnlyFans.
On our Patreon.
Yeah.
Join our Patreon to see me vomit.
All right, next up we got a game we've talked about a couple of times already, but actually I don't think we've been able to hear your thoughts on this one yet. Metaphor Refantazio, Sean. What are your thoughts on it?
It's a bad game. It's not a good game. I really enjoyed Metaphor. I do have some gripes with it, but I mean, for the most part, I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge Persona fan, so I enjoy like the social aspects and the way that the dungeons are done and the combat and all that kind of stuff. I love how they switched it up and kind of made it a little bit more accessible for people who aren't like Persona players, where the social links, there's only 8. It's really quick to go in your menu and just like click on a social link and go right there. The teleportation and like moving systems are nice. You can level up kind of your stats and some of your follower quests like as you're traveling. I like all that stuff. All that stuff was good. My favorite parts were probably like the combat and the dungeon crawling. I had a lot of fun doing that and leveling and grinding. Love that. I will say, at some point playing the game, I don't know where the switch went off, but I was like, I don't care about any of these people. I have no attachment to any of these characters. Like, they are so kind of shallow and one note that the game itself, fantastic. The music, fantastic. The characters, I love their designs, but I don't give a shit about any of them. They just kind of like drone on. They say the same things. They regurgitate. Like, their stories, they start off pretty intriguing, but then it's like, that one friend who it's like they talk about one thing and they just keep talking about it. The example I want to bring up, and I get it. If this happens to you, you're probably going to talk about it. But it's Heisme and his dead son. I don't care. I don't want like 400 dialogue options about how your son died. Like, it's and you know what? It would be okay if he would nonstop talking about his dead son. But in the game, like, traumatic things will happen to you and to your teammates, the player characters, and then 2 seconds later they're like, let's make some jokes. Like, so, I mean, why are you still talking about your dead son? I just don't get it. And I think at like, halfway through the social rankings, I'm like skipping half the dialogue because I'm like, I don't give a shit, Hulkenberg. You're a knight. Who cares? Gives a shit. All the characters are so like one note, and it gets annoying. And it only gets annoying once you notice it. They're one note. They're one thing they have to say. And it's like on, and it drags on. And so I was kind of getting tired of like all the dialogue. There's too much dialogue. And I love Persona. Persona has too much dialogue, but usually it's good. There's something to sink your teeth in, and the characters have levels. Like, they're like onions and ogres. They have layers. But Metaphor seemed kind of one note. That being said, like, the story was okay. It was okay. It wasn't like, anything groundbreaking. It was intriguing. I think the execution was kind of not there for me. Like they kind of like drop in little dots of like intriguing stuff, and it kind of gets you, and you're like more curious about it. But I feel like it's not explored enough. I don't want to spoil it because I know there's still people here playing it, but I feel like it's not explored enough. And if it was explored more, like it would be super interesting and super cool. I think that throughout the game, super interested what was going on, and then when I reached the end and they were kind of wrapping everything up, it was kind of like, no, I want to know more about this. Like you're kind of leaning in the other direction, like, and I don't love it. You know, I think Luis is a great villain. He has a good villain arc, but once again, very one note, not a lot of depth. And then the end of the game just drags on so long. I don't have a ton of time to play. I have a kid. I got to get up in the morning. So I was like struggling through the last boss, did a bunch of grinding. And then I think 2 nights ago, I was like, I'm going to finish this. Tonight's the night. And at like 2 a.m., I'm watching unskippable credits. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, just end. Like, it's not often that I want a game to end. Because if I really enjoy a game, I want to just keep playing. But what I loved, like the combat and the dungeon exploring, there wasn't enough of that. It was there's a whole section of the game where there's like none of that, and I don't know. I feel like it was kind of like 70% of the game was like perfect, and I loved it, but then the other 30% just wasn't there for me. That being said, like I really did like the game. I know it sounds like I didn't like it, but I just have gripes with it, and I'm kind of like nitpicking. I hope that and you know what I think it is, like saying that I love the Persona series, but this game, like there was just something missing, is that the fantasy genre has been overdone. Kind of, it's been done a lot. So it's like if you're in the fantasy genre, like you kind of want that extra bit of spice, which I think they did add with the combat and the dungeon exploring. But the story is where it kind of lacks that kind of flavor, that kind of something that you want. Like I said, without spoiling, there is something really interesting, but it's just not explored. And it's like the most interesting thing about the game. Now I gotta spoil it. Maybe when we're all done we can talk about it. But still, solid 8 out of 10 game. to be honest. I really did like it. Just some things, get my nipples soft.
All right. Yeah, so I recently started playing it. I just finished the first dungeon today. The cathedral or whatever, like the first big like
The
dungeon.
Grand Cathedral.
Yeah. So it was funny, like at first I wasn't vibe. I was kind of like hit with like a feeling of being like overwhelmed when I first started, especially because like when you're in that area, like the starting area, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna open my map and go find this quest. Then I open up the map, and the map was like fucking useless, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go wander until I find what the fuck I'm looking for. Um, but like once I kind of started getting more into it, I think it was when I hit the first dungeon, I started really getting into it and vibing with it. I do kind of fall in like the same boat as you. I'm not really invested in the characters. Like every now and then I'll kind of catch on to the story, try to get like the important beats, but like there is like so much dialogue and I do want to get back to the game itself. Um like I know it's a persona, like it's like a persona like game as well, but I find it funny with how time management works in this game, cuz like when I first started the game, I went and talked to a person. They're like, "Hey, can you get this potion for me?" I'm like, "Okay." So I went to a shop. I got the potion. Went back, talked to them. They're like, "Okay, your day's over. That was your full day." I'm like, "Okay." Meanwhile, cut to me in that dungeon. Like, I think for like 2 hours. Like, that was a day. Like, so it's just like the concepts of like it's weird how these small things can take up a full day, or these big things like you can also take up a full day. But honestly, like I didn't really appreciate how beautiful this game is until the new TV came in. Like the color, like it's incredible. Like, it looks so sharp. But no, I am
Gorgeous.
excited to see it through and keep playing. And like I said, that first dungeon kind of really got the hooks into me in terms of
Yeah.
gameplay and all that.
I mean, the job system is fantastic. Like the
Mhm.
archetype system is fantastic. Combat is always fun. I like the way they do like turns and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just the story content that's lacking. I will say, be prepared. The game difficulty wise is like this. Like just randomly, so be prepared.
All right, I'll
Do
be
some
mindful of
grinding.
that. Yeah, I do agree. I like that archetype system because it gives you a lot of flexibility, which I really appreciate. Because yeah, I was going into the first dungeon. I got the intel, or like you're gonna fight a lot of enemies that have are weak against light. So all three of my characters, I basically quickly train them into one of the archetypes that gives you like you can
The
assign
cleric.
them. Yeah, you can assign them like the light attack. So like all three of them kept their basic archetypes that I had with them, but then I was able to give them those light spells. So like it made the dungeon like quite a breeze because I could just keep hitting them with that. Um, yeah, no, like that archetype system is really really dope. John, you finished this a while back, right? Like, or no, you still haven't finished it. What are
No,
your
I
thoughts
still
on it?
finished it. Like Sean, there's some things that, well, I don't want to say that I don't like it. Uh, there's things that I'm not sure if I like or not. Like, what was I gonna say? Like, okay, so in Persona games, you really have to plot out, like, you really have to like plan out your playthrough. You have to like make sure you focus on certain things at certain times to like max things out. In this game, it doesn't really feel like you need to do that. Like, it just kind of like, as long as you do these things, you will max these things out, which is one thing I'm not sure if I like or not, because I did enjoy in the Persona game, like, you had to be careful. Like, you have to like make decisions, and you have to like you have to bond with certain characters at certain times. And another thing is um the kind of like chapters that it's broken up into, almost like Sean was saying, like things stretch on. I feel like the introduction to each of these chapters is just way too long. I found like times where I would only have like a couple hours to game, a few hours to game, and that entire time was spent either like watching cutscenes and getting into that specific chapter. I feel like those could have been like, shortened a little bit and maybe put in to the chapter a little bit, Um I do like the little details, like the cool little kind of story details. No spoilers here, but it's told at like the beginning of the game, where all the music in the game, which is excellent, all the music in the game is in the main character's head, which is fucking kind of cool, kind of crazy. Like that monk guy going, "Hey, no more, hey, no more, hey, no more." That's all on the main character's head. Like, um, the characters, I haven't had that problem yet, Sean, but now that you said it, I'm gonna notice it. Uh, like, I was excited to get Heisme when I saw him for the first time. I'm like, God damn, I hope he is a party member. And even like my girlfriend was in the same room when I was doing that section of the game, and Heisme ends up joining your party, and I'm like, ah, like I want to pet him, like he's my party member. I really don't want to dislike him. So
Well, just be aware that he is a dead son. That's
I I found that out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've heard it a couple times. It hasn't been enough to get annoying yet, but I'm sure it will. Overall, it is a good game, and I will get back into it. I don't know if it'll be anytime soon, just because of the time frame that I have to play. Like Anthony mentioned, Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out in February. I am playing Throne and Liberty, which I am pretty dedicated to. Um, but yeah, once I find the time to play that game, I will complete it. The story is pretty straightforward, simple enough. I won't forget, so I can just continue on from where I am. I won't have to start over. But yeah, I'm gonna agree in like so far it's been an 8 out of 10 experience too for me. Yeah.
That's fair. Well, that's fair. The thing to be said too is like 8 out of 10 is not bad by any means.
No, that's
Like,
amazing.
Yeah, like it's. I mean, it's no Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
but just like no.
That's the thing is like when people review things, like I see a bunch of lists where it's like top 10 worst games of 2024. Number 1, Star Wars Outlaws. And it's like, what about Airborne Grannies on the Switch? That was probably made in 2 minutes. Like, how is that worse than that? Like,
Didn't that King Kong game come out this year as well too?
No, it was last
Oh, it
year.
was last year.
I mean, if they say worst AAA games, then that would make sense. But yeah, worst games of 2024. Yeah,
It's always
definitely
like
Airborne Grannies.
games that like maybe were ranked like 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. It's like it makes literally no sense to me. How are these the worst games of the year? I'm sure there's some guy in his basement who just like
Green.
drew a picture and you click on it. Like,
Yeah.
Anthony, any thoughts on Metaphor Refantazio?
No, not really. Probably gonna be a pass for me.
smash or pass.
Smash or pass. Yeah, I mean, I love the art style of it, like, and I do enjoy turn-based combat games, but and I know I've been reassured from you guys about the whole day system and stuff, but it just it keeps me from wanting to jump in, and then just knowing how long the game is. Like, I'm already having an issue lately with delving into single player games, like the last year, I would say, give or take. There's always a couple exceptions, but the ones that were exceptions were generally shorter lived experiences. Like a quick example being Stellar Blade. I didn't get the platinum, but I finished the game under 30 hours. Like I think it was like 20, could have been 26 hours, something like that. So yeah, just the length alone is a big enough thing to keep me from jumping in. Who knows? In the far future, near future, whatever. If I can latch on back to like what I used to be, when I came up on the PS1 playing fucking single player RPGs, turn-based RPGs all the time. When I hit that vein again, maybe I'll jump in and try and look past the whole calendar days system that I generally am not a fan of, because it seems like what is there past that is probably pretty good from what I've seen, from what you guys say. But until then, yeah, I need to find myself.
But you know what? Maybe those Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters will be the thing that unlock that again for you.
Because I haven't even fucking. It's in a stack where I don't feel like pulling it out. But Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. I bought that at release and I installed it and I haven't even fucking played it. So.
You silly bitch.
But the doubling up on the fact of the nostalgic pull for at least Suikoden 1, because I never played the second one. Like that will probably be enough to pull. Like when I downloaded Legend of Dragoon when they released it on the PS5, and I still owned it from like the purchase I made for it on like PS3 or PS Vita or PSP. I don't know, whatever. I auto owned it, so I fucking downloaded that. I didn't finish it, but I put a fucking decent amount of chunk of time into it. Nostalgia is a strong thing, man. So maybe that'd be a good attempt to try and get back into it.
You never know. Any final thoughts on Metaphor Refantazio before we move on?
I'd still put it in my mouth. Shout out to Heismay. Nobody cares about your dead son.
Damn right.
All right, so Dragon Age the Veilguard. So the last time like we got together for the podcast, I had like 2 hours into this game. Now I've platinumed it. I think platinum time was around like 45 hours for me, around there. So a decent chunk of time. I didn't care for like the story. Like I was playing more so for the gameplay. Kind of echoing what you said a bit at a certain point with Metaphor, Sean. Like that's what I was doing with Dragon Age, where I was kind of just going through the motions, like the gameplay loop, and just like enjoying like the combat to it. So you play a main character. Your son is dead. Name is Heismay.
I'm not into it.
Yeah.
Next topic.
But yeah, no, it was a fun game. The gameplay was solid. I'm trying to think, like, it felt more like a Mass Effect game than a Dragon Age game, which I mean, like, they are both BioWare games, like, to be fair. So it's like, I know some people would be like, well, yeah, of course, like, it's from, like, but, like, in terms of the experience, like, it was a lot more action heavy, which, like, to be fair, I liked, like, the gameplay. It appealed to me, but I don't know, it didn't so much as feel like like a Dragon Age game, with the exception of having a couple characters from like the past games in this one, like those like branching points. But yeah, I would recommend it like as like a on sale kind of game, like 50% off. Like if you're just looking for like a fun hack and slash like RPG, like kind of like God of War style like combat. But like I can't really recommend it based off the story because I just skimmed through the whole thing. To be fair, so Anthony, any thoughts on Dragon Age Veilguard?
Mm, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's a
It's
good
just
thought.
there's so much. There was so much like discourse about this game when it came out that, and then just like with your opinion on it, like I don't know. I might give it a try if I can pick it up on a decent sale, or if they add it to the extra tier PlayStation Plus. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. Not much interest there. Like the main Dragon Age games I enjoyed was the first one mostly, and then the second one a decent amount. I didn't play anything after that. I tried Inquisition actually a couple times, couldn't get into it, but um, and it's just as far as Dragon Age, that isn't Dragon Age. Kind of mirroring what you said about it feeling like a Mass Effect game probably is. It's not what I would expect from that series. So, and I get it. They want to change it up. Like Final Fantasy, every single one is practically like, especially in the last several renditions, it's completely different from the previous. So I'm not saying they can't do that, but me as a consumer, am just gonna choose to not play it. At least not right now. Not unless I can play it for free or for like $15.
No, that's totally fair. Honestly, I think it is a matter of time. Like, I could see like a couple months down the line easily this thing popping up on like the PlayStation catalog. Like, if not like, not like the free like any tier gets it. Like, I could see it in like the extra and premium tiers, like included in that catalog for sure.
Yeah.
John, any thoughts on Dragon Age?
Not really. Same thing with as Anthony. Like I won't play it unless it's free. But it is a pretty game. Like it looks nice, and like the hair physics and everything looks good. I'm sure it plays well. You said it's more like a Mass Effect game, which I mean doesn't really sound like a bad thing to me. It kind of sounds like a good thing, but yeah, eventually maybe.
How about you, Sean?
Right.
He died.
I died.
It
Uh,
killed all his brain cells.
That'll be on the Patreon. I honestly have never played a Dragon Age game. Oh, that's not true. I was scarred by a Dragon Age game. I bought two for the PS3 and I loaded it up and I was walking around and the frame rate was like 1 frame per second because there was like a glitch specifically with the model of PS3 I had. So I never played it. I do really like Mass Effect though, so I might be willing to give it a shot down the line. But I never got to play them, and I've heard how great they are, and I've always wanted to play them. The reason I bought the second one was because I wanted to play it, but it hurt me so bad. You know, it's like that ex you have that every time you think of her, it hurts, and
Punched
I
you.
don't know if I could play it.
She beat you, didn't she?
Ash left me. uh, anyways,
She walks in.
what?
That is a bummer because, in my opinion, 2 is the best one. Like, I couldn't get into Inquisition, and I think 2
neither.
had like the quality story of 1, but had a much more refined gameplay to it. So I think 2 is like the best one.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
wasn't 2 was a bit more like action feely, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had more like fluid like fighting, but like it also still maintained like the tactics style gameplay. So like
Yeah.
it
I
was
like
like that
fluid.
very fluid, like the fluid that came
I
out of
love
your
some
mouth.
fluids. That was just goo. I was just gooing.
Queuing for a fluid.
Gooing.
All right. Any final thoughts on this before we move on? All right. All right. Next up, good old shoot the shit. Just like, what have you been thinking about lately? Could be gaming wise, could be movie wise, could be anything wise. Sean, what's been on
Yeah,
your
I'm
mind?
tired of the fucking negativity in gaming. Like, people need to get a fucking life, and that's coming from someone who has no life at all. I'm just tired of it. Just everything is so negative. And this stems from like the Game Awards, which I don't know if we talked about the Game Awards on the podcast, but everyone being like, this game Astrobot for kids, this ripoff from Mario 1 and not Black Myth Wukong, and like just being so toxic about it. For one, who cares? Your favorite game didn't win. What are you? What are you, a child? What are you, a little kid? Who cares? First and foremost, grow up. Secondly, isn't every game that comes out nowadays a ripoff of another game? Isn't Black Myth like Souls Light? Like, isn't it a ripoff of that genre? Like, it's unfathomable that people use that as like an argument. And most of the people who are saying like, "Oh, Astrobot shouldn't have won Game of the Year," have not played Astrobot because it is a great game. It is a fantastic game, and just because it's not the game for you doesn't mean that people can't enjoy it. Also, even though this is coming from a place like Astrobot, 100% my Game of the Year, but even then, if it didn't win, I wouldn't be like, "Well, this is stupid. This is awful." Also, like game trailers, when game trailers come out, are like you're watching an event where it's like they're announcing a bunch of games and people are like, lame, stupid, this sucks. It's like, okay, but like the games being announced are for some people who like those kinds of games. Like, let's just all as gamers come together as a community and just stop being so goddamn negative all the time. Like, what is so bad in your life? Do you not have games to play? Like, there's a game coming out every month. I have no time to play all the games I want to play. Like, you're telling me that you're being negative because there's no games for you to play? If you're gonna be so negative, maybe you shouldn't be a gamer. I don't know. It's just tiresome. It's tiresome. It's cumbersome. And this comes after me talking about Heismace, being annoyed about him talking about his dead son. I still love that game. There's like a level of negativity where it's like you can criticize stuff, but don't tell me something's bad if you've never played it. It's just stupid. It's just dumb. It's and if something's bad in your eyes, it's probably because it's not for you, which is fine. And also, to people who review games, if the game's not for you, don't review it. This doesn't make sense. And also, and also, when people come up with lists of like the best this of all time, that's not the title. The title is my favorite this of all time. It's not unless there's a community of people behind it, it's not the best. Because I've seen some lists where it's like, just be honest. It's your opinion. It's not the best whatever. Like that anime list I sent you guys. It was so like mind-bendingly stupid. But at the same time, if the person would have said my opinion on the top 50 animes, I would have been like, all right, I get that. But the title was best animes of all time, and it had Death Note at like 40. Like what are you watching? What are you
Not
even
Death Note,
watching?
obviously.
Not Death Note.
Wasn't Black Myth Wukong the lowest review averaged game on the list for the Game of the Year? Like it had 81, I'm pretty sure, didn't it?
Yeah,
Like
that's
every other
true.
game, I'm positive some were in the 90s. The others were like high 80s. Even the Elden Ring DLC that somehow made the list, which is ridiculous, but I'm pretty sure that was higher than Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, it was.
Why would that have won Game of the Year? Like that was a pity ad, in my opinion. Good job, China. You made a good game. Let's recognize that by nominating it. That's what it
Yeah,
looked like to
the
me.
studio too was like, I don't understand why we were there. It's like it was a celebration of games. Your game was still being celebrated. Did my fucking game, I made an MS Paint, get nominated? No, your game did. Like, too much negativity. That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
need Jesus.
Dude, so I,
You need Jesus.
of all of my friends, you guys and the member like Mark that's not here, friends that aren't involved in the podcast, all our gaming buddies, I easily have the most restrictive gaming interests, and even I don't have time to play the games I want to play. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like if someone like these people just sound like they don't play games, but they used to play games and they just keep up. I don't know. It's a weird time. It's a weird time.
Bad
Back in my
time.
day, Battletoads was the best game.
Yeah.
What
Black
was
Myth
your day?
Wukong can't even compare to Battletoads.
Bad.
I'm sure Black Myth Wukong is a great game. I like,
Yeah, I've only heard good things about it.
but it's
100%.
but it's like, what makes it better than Astrobot? Maybe it is better than Astrobot, and if I played it, I would
No.
like it more. But then would I
No.
retroactively go back in time and be like, well, now I'm pissed that my. Who cares if your game wins or doesn't win game of the? What is that? How does that affect you? Like, are you invested, like, stock wise in that game, winning game of the? Like, I don't understand.
Well,
Just seems overly it seems like you're making things hard for yourself. Seek therapy, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. I show up to stuff to see the trailers, but like I'm at the point with anything related to the gaming industry as far as like news or like any form of the news, whether it's the like PlayStation Direct or whatever it's called. And I mixed up the names. Nintendo, is it Nintendo Direct?
Direct. State of play is PlayStation,
State
yeah.
of Play. Okay, yeah. Or the Xbox showcases, whatever. Like the the Summer Games Fest or whatever, all that shit. Like I go just to watch the trailers, and everything else means nothing to me. Like all the awards that were given out generally don't mean anything to me. Like you're better off ignoring all that because it's so much of it just especially from that side with these big showcases, it's so politically driven, with the nominees. Like you look at like we don't have to get too much into it, but like you look at the roster of the jury for the game awards, and it's like, okay, what? And then 10% of the votes is actually the people that play the games. Not to say the journalists don't, but like the journalists represent probably a fraction of a percent of the people that actually play these games that come out. So yeah. They've they're trying to it's become fucking Hollywood but for games,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. I miss when playing video games got you shoved in a locker. The good old days.
Yeah.
All right. Anthony, what's been on your mind? I don't want to say anything because it's like I'm like thinking of like our final topic, our top 5 games of all time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I just like to stress like my list was made before this podcast was recorded.
Keep in mind, we're talking about how people are flipping out
Oh no,
that
yeah.
Wukong didn't get Game of the Year.
No. I'm just saying,
Not
like,
that it's bad.
I don't want anyone being like, "Oh, you just did that for the meme." Like, this was
Oh,
like my list was made at the so. But
Yeah.
what's been on your mind?
My mind, honestly, just lately that Throne of Liberty game, man. Like I'm obsessed. I need to find another game to latch on to if I'm being honest. I'm going to be installing Stellar Blade soon though, because the Nier Automata crossover looks fucking nice. So I think it's about time I go get that platinum. I did get the platinum for Throne of Liberty the other night. Finally crossed it off my list. So if I do dip out at any point, I will not have any regrets. Although then it made me think, I'm like, when I was playing First Ascendant, when I put like a couple hundred hours into that, I'm missing a couple easy to get trophies, but there's one trophy that I just need to put maybe like 5 hours into the game. Maybe less because it's RNG, maybe more to get the one trophy. And if I get that, I could get the platinum for that game. And I'm like, fuck, should I go back and get that? I don't know. I'm thinking about it though. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I've just been thinking about throwing a Liberty.
It's been gooning.
Yeah,
Nice.
been gooning that shit. Logging in. So they do world bosses every few hours that get like the best loot. And that's why like I'm putting my portal into action over the holidays. I got to beat places, right? So I bring in, I'm like, oh, it's 10 to 4, boot up my portal. I just go and stand where the boss is supposed to spawn, and then I just, chilling. And then it's like, okay, oh, it popped up, and then I join someone's random party. I run up, just hit it a bunch of few times, it dies. See if I get loot. If I don't, I don't. And then I just shut it off. Oh, 2 hours later, I'm still at my Christmas dinner or whatever. Boot it up, run over.
It's
Do
at
shit
grandma's
then.
funeral,
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
about to
Crank the
give the
volume.
eulogy. Oh,
Yeah.
turn it on. Go to the bathroom.
I get one of the drops. You just hear me start screaming.
Why
Like
is he
earlier,
screaming in the bathroom?
I was at my grandma's place, and that weekly only spawn boss happened today at 6 p.m. And I went in. I think John, you were there. Mark was
Yeah.
there. I wasn't in like a chat or anything. I was just on the portal. I killed it. And I get a fucking drop, and I'm like, at my grandma's. I'm like, oh my god, because it's an arch boss. Like they have like crazy shit. Like the weapons are crazy. But then I looked, and it wasn't a weapon. It was a piece of armor, which is still good. Like the chance of me getting a drop in general from an arc boss is insane because you're literally. I have my settings turned down so I can only see so many other players within range. But there's literally, if I were to run around the area, there's probably like 800, 1,000, 1,200 players all standing here ready to fight the boss. So when it dies, your odds of getting an item are pretty fucking slim. So I got one.
I got a rock.
Nice. Oh,
Was
nice.
it a nice rock though?
It's
Yeah,
shiny.
it was. It's
Yeah.
shiny. It's shiny.
What's been on your mind, John?
So I was oddly enough, I don't know how this like got in my mind. I downloaded Stardew Valley on my computer and I was playing it, and then for some reason Power World came into my brain, and I was like, "What's going on with Power World?"
On
And
PlayStation.
yeah, it is. Also, they just came out with like a massive update on the 23rd. It's called Faybreak. And I got a thing open right in front of me, so yes, I am reading this. There's a new island, which is massive, apparently.
Is the update on console as well? Or
I
just
think
PC?
so. I think it's just all around. New. I'm gonna call them Pokemon just to piss people off. New Pokemon. There's a crossover with Terraria, which is crazy. More levels, higher level tech tree stuff. Hardcore, which fuck it, whatever. Expedition, you could send your pals on expeditions just like Amatoys and Throne in Liberty, Anthony.
I'm down.
Labor research, which I don't fully understand if we're gonna read it.
I actually bought it the day it released on PlayStation. So.
Oh, you did? Cool. New weapons, like a katana, beam sword.
Nice.
You can. This is the biggest one. You can now sit on chairs.
Moving
That's-
on
Dude,
up,
that's
boys.
game changing.
Bro,
You
dude,
can't
could
do that in
not sit on
Pokemon.
chairs before. But
Wait.
no,
Sorry,
go on. No, you first.
I gotta look up if it's cross-play or not. Because
I
if
don't
it's
think
not,
it is.
I'll just download the PC.
Okay.
Just in case. Because if we do end up playing it and we want to play together,
Yes.
then
I'll have to
we'll
hook up my other PC because it's just been sitting next to me. So
Uh,
our server
yeah.
is on there.
We should. Yeah, we should. We should definitely do it up because I'm excited.
Power.
I'm excited to sit on a chair.
Bro,
Like, I cannot believe they added that.
you don't even
Yup.
know.
Or we could start. Well, you can't do dedicated servers on PlayStation. I don't think so.
No.
you probably, if it's anything like Ark Survival, you can, but you have to have a second PlayStation with a second active PSN Plus account and buy the game a second time on that account.
No.
Because you can't host and play on the same console. You can only do one or the other.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that whole like lawsuit with Game Freak didn't stop them, and that they're still
Yeah.
doing it, and they're still continuing on, and they're still making this a better game. Which I mean, it was great to start, but oh my god, I just want to go to that new island. I'm looking at a picture, like a little screen cap from that island, and it's beautiful.
To go off on a bit of a tangent from what you just said, like that whole scenario, while I understand people having a negative criticism of like the models of the pals, I understand that outlook even though I don't agree with it personally. But like the way Nintendo went about this shit with Power World, even though it's a known thing how aggressive Nintendo can be, it's really changed my opinion drastically of Nintendo. Not enough to like prevent me from say wanting to jump into the Switch 2 at some point, but enough to really, I don't know, like I probably won't be buying much of their mainline games for a while, just as like a personal boycott, if you will. Like, not saying I'm telling people should do that. Just I feel like I need to do something to kind of be like, what the fuck, Nintendo, you know?
You know, Nintendo never went after Digimon
Or Monster Rancher.
or Monster Rancher.
Ranger.
Why are they picking on Power World? Because it had potential to become bigger than them, bigger than their franchise.
Well, they just need to deal with it, I guess.
Why? Why Nintendo?
Why you do this?
I want
Why
you.
are you like
Did I-
this?
Did I tell
This
you guys?
video, the video of this podcast, I want you to comment. I want you to be the first comment. Chris is gonna pin it, and I want you to explain
John's
why
gonna
you
get
never
sued
went after.
so hard.
I'm not though. I'm not
You
saying
are.
anything.
They're gonna sue you.
Okay, I'm just gonna go make a better Pokemon game right now.
Nintendo, I love you, baby. Keep up the good work.
The Legend of Zelda is my favorite gaming franchise, besides Final Fantasy.
It was mine at one time.
Re-release Path of Radiance if you're watching this.
Then they started making that Breath of Wild bullshit.
Remake Wind Waker again.
Yes, I haven't played that one.
Remake Mario Paint.
Remake Luigi's Mansion.
I have that.
Remake Mario Goes Missing.
Remake Mario Math.
The fuck
Is that a thing?
Probably.
Illegal to say the words Mario is missing.
What about Golem the Ninja or the Mystic Ninja?
Gollum?
Golem.
Oh, go on. Go on.
The blue-haired ninja kid.
Oh yeah. Remake that too.
That was a cool.
And then remake my life so it's better.
Please, Nintendo.
Remake my dad, please. He went for milk and has not returned. Can you please remake him?
At least remaster him so I can see him in 4K.
You can see how far away he is.
Better draw distance.
Yeah.
Chris, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Chris, tell us what's going on.
Honestly, like the whole Sonic cinematic universe has been on my mind lately.
Chris, you gotta do this to me. I didn't want to talk about it, but now I do.
So I haven't seen 3 yet. I haven't seen the new one. I have had a shit ton of stuff spoiled for me, of course, through TikTok. I won't say anything.
Yeah.
But what I will say is like I appreciate from like the arc of like 1 to 3, like not having seen 3. I like how like they don't overload all the characters at once, that they kind of give them their each own movies to kind of branch them out. And I was telling Anthony this the other day. I rewatched Knuckles, and I still had a good time with that show. I still had a fun time with that show.
I still gotta watch it
It's
because
good. It's
the way
fun.
you're talking about it, that one product placement, I cannot let that stop me because of how big of a fan I am of the movies. I think the movies are the best thing ever. And you're right. They don't overdo it. They introduce one character per fucking movie, and that's the way it should be, instead of just a mishmash. That video game movies have made that mistake in the past, and this one has not. So
Yeah, it's not just
keep
like
it up.
cameo porn, you know.
But yeah, I do know they just greenlit the 4th film, and I'm all for it,
Nice.
because like that's the thing. Like Sonic has such a huge library of characters that if they keep slow playing like this, like they can do more and more movies and then just slowly introduce more and more characters. But
You hear that, Jim Carrey? Until you're 90.
Until you're fucking 90. But and also I just want them to keep making it, so I keep getting Ben Schwartz on Game Grumps. Like I think that's all I want from life, is just pairing of those 3 guys, right? But yeah, no, I am excited to see 3. I'm gonna wait for it to like release like digital purchase, and then I'll watch it that way. But
On the
Keanu Reeves as
QLED.
Shadow, oh yeah, it's gonna look good on there. But yeah, no, I think they're doing great work with like that Sonic cinematic universe, the SCU, as you will.
They need to have Sonic
SCU.
make out with a live person, with a human being, like in Sonic 06. I never played that game, but I think that's what happens.
He does. I think he kisses like a lady.
He does that.
Yeah.
That's how furries were made.
Oh,
That started the furry thing, yeah.
start the furry cinematic universe.
Do
I
it.
need it.
Time has come.
Gotta go fast.
All right, that is it for Shoot the Shit. Now we're on to our final topic. Our top 5 games. Objectively, these are our top 5 game rankings. Like, I'm not saying these are the, but yeah, these are the top 5. So, how do you guys want to do this? Do we want to go down like the order? Like, say, like we each say like our number 5, and then we do our number 4.
Let's just each go individually our
Each
5.
So-
individual full list. Okay.
Real quick, I will say I didn't put them in any particular order.
Yeah, me
Okay, there's
either.
no problem for that. Yeah,
Okay.
like yeah, if you can't put like out like mine is in a specific order, just because like I do know how I feel about the games, but yeah,
Mhm.
no pressure
I
to
could-
have them in a specific order.
The 2 of the 5 are easy 1 and 2s, but the remaining 3 were kind of like fairly even. So I can do 1 and 2. The other ones I could just pick. I guess it doesn't matter at that point.
Sounds good. All right, what do we start off with? I'm gonna say mine just because like I already alluded to how this is gonna go.
Black
earlier.
Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, so number 5, I got Unicorn Overlord. I had a really good time with that game. Number 4,
It's a good one.
Marvel Rivals. Number 3, Astrobot. Number 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And number 1, Black Myth Wukong. I think with me, like with Black Myth, that game just surprised the hell out of me, and like I had a really great time with it. And I just remember going for the platinum, my second playthrough, like doing the secret ending, fighting like the last boss to get the secret ending, because like when you do New Game Plus, it upscales the difficulty, so it's like even more difficult. It was such a pain in the ass, that fight, that I remember being like, this secret ending better be like fucking worth it. And then when I experienced it, I was like, holy fuck, that was fucking worth it. Which like a lot of times I feel like you can't really be said for games like that. But I don't know, that game just really clicked with me. As somebody who Donatello was my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, like I enjoyed using like the staff as the weapon, and just like the different fighting styles they introduced with it. Yeah, no, I think what it had over Final Fantasy and Astrobot for me was, it just surprised me. Like Astrobot, like we had Playroom, and so like going into this, I knew I was gonna love every minute of it, which I did love every minute of it. But there was like no surprise there outside of those 5 levels that were specifically themed. And then for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, That was a fantastic experience. There was like so much to that game, but I think at the same time, like there's a little too much where like I did too many of like the side missions where it kind of like when I walked away with it, like when I compared like Black Myth and I compared Final Fantasy VII, I had more positives in my mind based off of Black Myth. Like I said, that list was made before the Black Myth
Just trying to be
discussion.
controversial, man.
Yeah. All right. Sean, I'll let you go next.
Top 10 games. Officer Cops. Okay. So first and foremost, which is the game I started the year with, and I think it's fantastic. The greatest fighting game franchise of all time. Tekken 8. I love it. Still playing it. Having a good time. Now that they're putting Clive from Final Fantasy in there, I'm gonna play it even more. It's the only game I've ever played that makes me want to punch a child. So, hats off to you for winning that monumentous award, because no other game has made me want to do that thus far yet. There could be a future contender. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, had a great time. Great music. Honestly, it's on this list just because the Bow Wow Wow song. Like, that song changed my life. Before I ever heard that song, I was like, I don't like music at all. All music is bad. And then I heard that song and I'm like, maybe life isn't so bad. Next up, we got Animal Well. I had a great time with Animal Well. It's a classic Metroidvania. It's simple. I always tell people this. It's simple. And then people are like, I tried to play Animal Well. It's not simple. And then I'm like, no, the concept is simple. There's not really combat. It's just maneuvering. Like, it's simple. It's complicated. Like, there's a huge, like, ARG factor of the game, which also kind of elevates the game for me, that a bunch of people on Discord were, like, kind of disseminating this game and tearing it apart to, like, figure out these puzzles, which was the creators' intention. They probably still haven't figured out all the puzzles. But it was great. Great little indie game. I think top indie game of the year. I didn't play Balatro though, so maybe I'm wrong. Metaphor, as much as I hate Heisme and his dead son, I love the game. I love the gameplay. I liked, it made me feel very nostalgic for turn-based RPGs. I think they did a great job. Just slim it. Just cut the fat. Just slim it down. I need, I have no attention span anymore. I can't play Final Fantasy VII on PS1. Slim it down. And then, of course, the GOAT, Black Myth, Astrobot, is, I think it's my number one. I didn't list that list in any particular order, but Astrobot was just incredible. It made me feel like a kid again. Like, I was just excited, did not want to put the controller down, like, had a lot of fun, a lot of interesting ideas. Amazing design. It looked amazing sound design, good use of the PS5 DualSense, like, just knocked it out of the park. I think usually when I think about games, I think of them like kind of what you said, Chris, like, what are the negatives? Like, okay, that's what I would rate this game. I don't have anything negative to say about Astrobot. I think it was great. I think it was fun. That's it. That's why it won Game of the Year. You little Black Myth, Wukong, loving little B words. You know the B word. You know what I'm saying. And that's my list.
It's beautiful.
Enough to make
Sex Office on Steam.
enough to make a Black Myth developer cry at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony, what is your top 5?
All right, so I just want to preface this with two things. One, how I mentioned my issue lately with delving into single-player games. So you're going to see somewhat of a consistent theme here. And two, I generally don't play a lot of like the big hitter games of the year. So like pretty much every game at the Game Awards I didn't play. So keep that in mind. So the first three, how do I want to order these? Okay, I'll go number 5, The First Descendant. Cause that booty though, right? Like, come on. I grinded so hard for that
That booty.
Ultimate Bunny, yeah.
Yeah.
If the grind wasn't so ridiculous, I might have been playing it even longer. But I put like almost 200 hours into it. So that's 5. Number 4, I'll go Throne and Liberty. That's kind of like the recency bias pick, I would say. Number 3, I actually put Pow World, because when you had that server up, Sean, I played
Oh,
the shit out of that server, man.
it's
I would
so
spend
good.
like some nights I would for hours I would just go and fly around the map exploring, and the sense of discovery that with like this Pokemon theme that I hadn't felt with Pokemon for like the last decade. It was awesome. And the whole breeding and the eggs and that whole system was just so enjoyable for me, and just like progressing, like numbers go up, right? It's similar kind of concept, so that hooked me. Number 2, I'm going Stellar Blade, because not only was there that booty though, the game was just awesome. Like the combat, it was like enough outside, like it had like the Souls like aspects to it, but it wasn't really a Souls game. Like it was on the easy enough scale that I was able to still, someone like me who generally don't play difficult games like that, I could still play through it. And even though I would encounter some difficulty, it wasn't enough to deter me. Whereas like any Souls game I've ever tried, within the first hour and a half, I stopped playing the game because I can't even. I remember a Dark Souls 3. I heard it was like one of the easiest ones of the bunch or something. So I
Mhm.
picked it up. In the first enemy I encountered killed me, and then he killed me again, and I'm like, fuck this game. You know what I mean? So, um, but I really enjoyed the game. The story was nothing new, but done well enough that I was actually enjoying it as I played it. Tons of costumes, the just getting, like when you get to the point when you're nailing like those perfect parries and stuff like that is just really satisfying. And the maps weren't like, the world itself wasn't huge, but like it looked nice, and generally it had some level of exploration. Um, and then, yeah, so, and now I'm going back, as I was saying, to potentially try for the platinum now that Nier Automata or 2B's in it. So, and then number 1, Destiny 2 The Final Shape, because that was just a great way to end it. And even though I'm not too hot on Destiny right now with kind of the stuff they're doing post Light and Dark Saga, but the way it was ended, it was just so good. That campaign, easily the best campaign I've played from them. And I played early enough before shit got vaulted, so I did play through all the campaigns for Destiny 2. I was able to catch those before they vaulted. So Witch Queen was my favorite, but this one is now probably my favorite of all time. And like some of the stuff they did with the launch, like the destination was awesome. The for a while at least, the that event you did to get that Ergo Sum sword, that was really cool. The dual destiny mission, even though I hated it, I also loved it. I hated the fact that the best way to get the item was to continuously do it, but like it as a first time experience, I thought was awesome. It was almost like doing like a two-man dungeon or like mini raid-esque kind of thing. It was really cool. And just all the weapons, like so many, they brought just before that, they brought all those weapons back, some that I wasn't even really around for. Yeah, it was great. It was really good. And just like that ending sequence, man, like when everything goes down, it's done, and it's just you and your party sitting on this ledge, and then the credits roll. Like it was
It's
so good.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that
was
was a
beautiful.
great final shot to it.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
All right, John, finish us off. Black Myth
Okay,
Wukong.
so this is this list. There is a theme to it. Okay, it's all DLCs, and it is the top 5 games of 2024. I'm just kidding. So a little weird. My number 5. I also have a runner up on here too. So number 5, and it's for a specific reason, just from just how little time we put into this game, but how much fun we had. My number 5 is South Park Snow Day.
Fun, yeah.
Not a
was
good
just-
game at all.
I did
Not a
just-
great game. But man, did we have a like we so
Oh my
hard at
God.
the stupid fart jokes, man. Number 4, I put Rivals. I do love that game. I do plan on playing it more, and I honestly like. I do plan on buying a skin eventually. So when one really strikes me. Number 3, I had to put Throne and Liberty on here because I am thoroughly enjoying it and I am spending a lot of time in it. And we'll probably be spending a lot more time until February. Number 2 is Metaphor. I haven't finished it, but I do love it. I love the music mainly. That is my big thing about the game. Any game that I play, my biggest thing is the music. Like the music has to be good, or man, like I don't see a point. And my number 1 is Astrobot. Fantastic
It's a good
game.
one.
Such a good game.
Yes.
It's not a baby game. Whoever says it's a baby game, they didn't play it. They didn't play the challenge levels. They fucking just skip those. They're like, fuck, this
Listen,
is
John.
too hard.
As someone who's never played the game, it's clearly a baby game.
Okay.
How's
I
it
get
a
it,
baby
Anthony.
game?
It's a
There's
baby game.
references to IntelliCube, which is like
Oh my
a PS1 game that
The continuum
nobody
can
played.
function.
Yeah. And my runner up, not to interrupt you guys, talking shit about my favorite game of the year.
Black Myth.
My runner up is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It was the reason it didn't make my list is because of the onslaught of fucking mini games. And my problem being I have to master every single one before I even fucking move on in the game. That's the reason I fell off this game. And that's the reason it did not make the list, is because I had to finish and master and 100% this mini game before I moved on. And there are some hard ass mini games in that game. Like there are some really hard, like the Chocobo one. It's an old game now. I can spoil it. There's a Chocobo flying one, which was fucking impossible.
Oh yeah, that was hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I kept playing. That's where I stopped playing. Like I got to the final stage of it, and I just could not get 100% on it, so I stopped. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not playing this game anymore."
I quit gaming.
Yeah, but yeah, there's my list, and even a bonus.
Some good lists, boys.
Yes, good list. So
I forgot about South Park Snow Day.
I did too, to be honest. We finished that in the night.
Yeah.
We just like we saw it through.
You
We just
gotta
beat
you
it.
gotta give some love to like stupid little games like that. You have to.
It was
We
worth
think
it.
about
Any more.
The
You know?
cost of that game was like a night of going out, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, just the game is epic. Just buy it, and not go out one night.
Yeah, don't go to dinner
Yeah, don't go out with your wife for dinner
for one night.
Sir.
Right. That has been another successful episode of the Guy Pie Podcast. I'm Chris.
Hi,
That
Chris.
is Sean,
Bow Wow Wow changed my life.
Anthony,
Bye.
and Jonathan.
I feel like you did that on purpose because that kind of sounded like John. When you
Yeah.
said
I literally went Sean. I can't win with you guys. I just can't fucking win.
Okay, I wasn't done though. Number 6 on my list is
Wasn't number 6 Final Fantasy VII Remake?
no, that was the runner up. That's not even on the list.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Anyways, bye.
That's a way.